It was magnificent. I have to tell you, and I said this to the president, I've never seen a White House in better shape. There's construction going on, but you don't see it when you go into that magnificent structure. And the decorations are always lights out. But you know what Donald Trump has done to that White House is he's made it into a symbol of grandeur. And there's a psychological reason why. He wants heads of state, powerful people all over the world to come there to be very impressed with the United States. And boy, I'll tell you, I've been going to the White House for 25 years. Boy, I must have been here, I don't know, 50, 60 times. And every time's a privilege. And I said that to you yesterday. I don't take this for granted. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I came from very little, as you know, Levittown, Long Island, shoveling snow and doing what all kids do. And now I'm going to the White House, talking to the president. It's really only in America, and that's not a cliche. It could not happen anywhere else in the world. So I spent 40 minutes, 4-0, with the president in the Oval Office. And we did talk about some things that I can tell you. I don't want to violate any confidence, but I'll give you an overarch. And these are the things I was concerned about. And I would say, what about? Not my job to grill the president. This is a social situation. And he was very gracious because, I'm me. A lot of people don't want to hang with me. Spend 40 minutes of his time. So there's a big problem with Putin. Putin now is reveling in the Ukraine corruption story. As you may know, 3 of Zelensky's top advisors have been implicated in stealing millions, probably tens of millions of dollars. And that weakens Zelensky. There's no doubt about it. And Putin's just watching this. And the president's still hopeful that he's going to get some kind of ceasefire before Christmas. I don't know, boy. That Vlad, he's on the cover of Confronting Evil. I put him there for a reason. He is the most evil person on the face of the earth right now, in my opinion. I don't know if he's going to give an inch because he sees Zelensky and Ukraine getting weaker. And the president knows that. Now, also, there was a lot of controversy, and I was curious myself about this Honduran president who was incarcerated in the USA for a massive amount of drug smuggling, cocaine, out of Honduras while he was in office. And I didn't want to confront, obviously, the social situation, Mr. Trump about it, but there were other people there. And I got what happened. So the man's name is Juan Orlando Hernandez, and this is important because the Trump administration is attacking drug cartels with U.S. military. So Hernandez gets convicted by a U.S. jury. He did it. He was corrupt. But there is an election in Honduras, and it's going on right now, and it's ill-defined. And it seems to me, based upon the information I've accumulated, the Trump administration wants the traditional candidate to win who is tied to Hernandez's party. Not politics. The other guy is a communist. Now, if you look at a map of Central America, and we will put up so you can see, almost every country there is friendly to the USA now, okay, with the exception of Nicaragua, which is a communist country. And the Trump doctrine is to have every country in the Western Hemisphere allied with us. So that is why this guy, Hernandez, got a big break. It's politics. Now, do I object to that? Not really. I understand the big picture here. And I did at one point say to President Trump, this guy owes you. He's got to help the USA for what you did to him. I can't follow this. Nobody can. But I wanted to, because it is a subject of nonsensical American television coverage, provide some perspective. Okay, so we were there, and when I go to those gatherings, I'm polite. Anybody wants a picture, that's fine. But I'm trying to stay in the background. And I saw a lot of people that I know. And these parties, there's a series of them up until, I think, December 20th, maybe December 15th, because the president's going down to Florida for 2 weeks. They're to reward donors and to, people who are in the Trump administration, bring their families. And it's really some experience. We have pictures posted on BillO'Reilly.com. I'm not doing this for any vanity whatsoever. I mean, I've known Donald Trump 35 years, okay? And as you know, if you follow me, I support, I would say, most of his policies because I believe they're the best policies for the United States. As every one of you know, because I'm very candid about it, I wrote the book Confronting the Presidents. Joe Biden's the second worst president ever. And he never invited me to the White House. He wouldn't invite me to Maryland. And I don't blame him. If I were President Biden, I wouldn't invite me. I was hammering him. Okay? I was invited by Bush the Younger, by Barack Obama. I had extensive conversations with both men in this White House. Same thing with President Trump. Okay? But Biden, I perfectly understood. I'm hammering the guy because I believe that his policies were really, really hurtful to the United States of America. Trump has reversed that. Now, is he perfect? No. Does he like some of my coverage? No. And he lets me know it when he doesn't like it, but that's not my concern. My concern is to tell you what I know to be facts and then let the chips fall. My job is to inform you, not to be any kind of an ally to any politician anywhere. Now, if a president of the United States asks my advice or your advice, or you give it to him or her as a patriot. And again, I'm upfront. I think that Donald Trump has worked harder than any president, with maybe the exception of Lincoln. Lincoln really had it rough when he walked in. Buchanan was the only president worse than Biden. And Lincoln came in, a mess, and the war was about to start. So Lincoln didn't get any sleep. Trump looked a little tired, I have to say, last night. He didn't get much sleep, but he works unbelievably. And most of his policies, I understand them. I want the drug cartels to be blown out of the Caribbean Sea. I want a very robust foreign policy to protect us. I supported the bombing of the Iran nuclear facility. So when Donald Trump does it, I look at the policy and what he's doing. Is it best for the country? Not best for the Republican Party, not best for the conservative ideology or traditional or any of that. Is it best for the country? And I've been doing this 50 years. Okay, and that has always been my philosophy. So wrapping it up here, next year, and I have to have other conversations with President Trump about his vision for 2026. Going to be rough on him, as I've reported. Last chance for the left and the Trump haters to take him out next year. The last chance. You're going to hear every week there's going to be something. But I want to hear what his vision is, and I hopefully will get that done in the next couple of weeks. Now, a quick update before we get to our special guest tonight, Reverend Franklin Graham. I have a lot to talk with him about, including President Trump. All right, so Portland, Oregon is Loonsville, and I have a deep affection for the town because I worked there as a local anchor at KATU Television. It was an ABC affiliate at the time. And Portland's a beautiful town, but it's nuts. So every year they have a Christmas tree lighting display in Pioneer Square. Okay, great event. But now they took the word Christmas out of it. So it's a tree lighting. Okay, you simpletons. There wouldn't be any tree if it wasn't Christmas. You get that, morons? Okay. Not only that, but they invite a pro-Palestinian zealot to speak at the tree lighting. Roll it.
You know, there's a full-blown genocide happening, live streaming in 4K I feel like this is the perfect time to bring this up. There's a lot of genocides going on in Sudan, Congo, Yemen, Lebanon, Haiti, all the oppressed people around the globe.
Yeah, perfect time to bring it up, the Christmas tree lighting. Huh. And it's like, okay, how crazy do you want to be? Very few people object, because if you object, you are ostracized in Multnomah County. That's where Portland is. But one guy did. Guy's name is David Medina. Here's what he put on X. Go.
It's okay to say Christmas, but you guys don't want to say Christmas because it's for Christians, right? But if it was a Muslim thing, you guys wouldn't have any problem saying it. But Portland, this is the Christmas tree, the Portland Christmas tree. Let's take back Christmas. Let's not let them take Christmas from us.
Okay, so there is a war on Christmas this year, not the one that we fought and won a decade ago when I was doing the O'Reilly Factor, but now the Christian left is attacking people who want immigration law enforced. And I read this. This is a repeat here. I'm not going to do a lot of it, but this is from a guy, a preacher in Kansas City, John Pavlovitz. Quote, "The brutal Yuletide assaults haven't come from atheists or agnostics this year, not from humanists or Muslims, not from the coffee franchises of the liberal media or progressive Christians or the mythical woke mob. The very white conservatives who've been loudly sounding the alarm are the incessantly advancing hordes." The alarm, of course, about illegal immigration. So I want to talk to Reverend Franklin Graham. I'm the son of perhaps most famous evangelical minister ever, Billy Graham. And Franklin Graham runs a charity, $1 billion charity, called Samaritan's Purse. And all over the world, they protect Christians and try to do the right thing in advancing peace across the globe. So Franklin Graham joins us now from Boone, North Carolina. Pleasure to have you here, Franklin. I know you're friends with President Trump, and I told him you're going to be on today, and he was happy to hear it. We'll get to that in a moment. But I'm sure you're aware that Christianity, like every other faith, has got conservatives, it's got liberals, and now the liberal wing, and some people include Pope Leo in that, are criticizing and saying, oh, you're wrecking Christmas because you support ICE raids and things like that. How do you process those accusations?
Well, I don't try to process them, but it's just there. The point is, I believe what the president is doing is right. We have a right to get people out of this country that are coming here to do us harm. And if they walked across the border illegally, they should be asked to go back or sent back and let them come in legally, let them get in line like everybody else. But I just stand behind the president 100%. Again, I don't agree with everything he says, but his policies, you better believe it. His policies are designed to protect you and me and every other American. So when it comes to the liberal churches in this country, they got off track a long time ago, long before this. They quit. They support things like abortion. They support same-sex marriage and so forth. And they can do that, but that's not where I stand. That's where I think most of the American churches don't necessarily agree. They believe that marriage is between one man and one woman. That's what the Bible teaches, and that's what I believe. That's what I stand for. And immigration, we're all immigrants, and I support immigration. But to walk across the border and do this illegally, or however you come into the country illegally, any other country in the world, they'll put you in prison. You can't do this in Mexico. They'll lock you up. You can't do this in Canada. You can't do it in any country of the world. But in the United States, they want open borders, and that's wrong. We need to follow the laws. And these churches are supporting a system that doesn't support the law. They want people to break the law. So, I just say, well, good for them, but that's not what I stand for. That's not what I believe in. And I want people to know the churches ought to be about telling people how they can be saved from their sins, how they can be forgiven, how they can have a relationship with God through faith in His Son, Jesus Christ. This is the job of the church. And all these other policies, that's the responsibility of the United States government, from the president.
Right.
We have
But it
Congress,
does
but
bleed.
why are they doing
It
that?
bleeds over. Right. So you were familiar a couple of weeks ago. The Roman Catholic bishops met, and they came out with a statement saying, look, you have to be humane. So some of these ICE raids, they go over, they brutalize people. This is the accusation. And Jesus wouldn't be asking for a passport or papers. If there were somebody poor that needed help, Jesus would help that person. I believe that too. I give money to help migrants, and I'm not demanding that the charities that do that check their immigration status. If somebody needs help, I think as Christians, we need to help that person. But that doesn't mean we allow an open border and we allow lawlessness in the immigration area. I think that there has to be common sense across the board. But when you hear Pope Leo, I'd love to see a debate between you and Pope Leo on the immigration matter. I think that Christians all over the world, you know what kind of rating that would get? Because there are 2 points of view in the Christian world on this, correct?
Well, there may be more than that. But again, we need to follow the law. And I believe in the law. And so it's just an issue whether you're going to support the policies of the president and trying to defend this nation and follow the laws of this nation, or are you going to encourage people to break the law? I want to stand on what's right, and that's the law. Now, the immigrants, people that are poor that are in this country, and I don't blame people taking advantage of the fence not being there or the wall not being there and wanting to slip into America, however they can get here, to find a better way for their families and just try to have a better life. I understand that, but they still should leave and come back legally. Now, there are other people that came in who are here for a purpose, and I believe they were sent in by other countries to do us harm. And
and I mean, Jesus was clear on the
doing all he can to protect us.
Jesus was clear on render to Caesar. So Samaritan's Purse, you're all over the world trying to protect Christians, and President Trump raised the issue of Nigeria not protecting Christians because Nigeria is a chaotic country. Their armed forces are not up to speed, and they have a Muslim component that's running around killing Christians. But the president says you better knock it off or the United States is going to get directly involved. Are you involved with that situation?
No, I'm not involved in that situation, but we do work in Nigeria. And we've got people in Nigeria, and we've done a lot of work among the Muslim community as well as the Christian community. When we work in a country, Bill, we don't differentiate between the Christians and non-Christians, and we just help everybody. And so Nigeria is a country that has a lot of need. But I appreciate the fact that the president is standing up to that government. And I believe the president's a Muslim and his wife is a Christian. But he's made it clear, if you're going to allow this to continue, we'll be in there and we'll protect the Christians. So my hat goes off to President Trump. Thank you for standing up for Christians. No other president has ever done that, Bill. No one. He's the only president in my lifetime that has taken a stand to protect Christians. So I'd say God bless him.
Okay. Now, Christians are under fire, pardon the pun, in Muslim countries, mostly. And Putin, China, I mean, they don't want anything to do with Christians, but they're not as blatant about it. But they're pretty brutal in China. Putin calls himself a Russian Orthodox, but my God, the guy's a mass killer. When you go, do you speak to these people in a Muslim world and say, hey, you gotta protect, like Turkey. Turkey used to have a vibrant Christian community. Now it's less than 1%. In that huge country of Turkey is Christian because they've been battered for decades. Do you get involved with the foreign leaders and say, come on, knock it off?
I do. And I had the ambassador from Iraq in my office this past week. And one of the concerns he had was that Christians were leaving Iraq. They had a large Christian community and it's dwindling. They're leaving. Okay. And I said, Mr. Ambassador, I said, you need to change the education system, make it a secular system. Right now, it's children go, you get Muslim indoctrination, Islamic indoctrination. And a Christian family does not want their children to come under that. Change it and make it a secular if you want Christians to stay. So I do speak up and I do speak out. And when we work in these Muslim countries where we know that we are at risk, I always make it clear to the leadership. I was in the Sudan, met with the president of Sudan, or he's the general, just a few months ago. And I was very clear, this is who we are, this is what we believe, this is what we stand for. And if you want our help, we're glad to come help you. But you have to understand who we are. We don't want to hide the fact that we're evangelical Christians. We want everyone that we help to know that God loves them and that God cares for them. And he sent his son from heaven to this earth for their sins. We want the whole world to know that. And I find when I'm up front with the Muslim leadership, they appreciate that and they allow us to come in and work. So we have not had any problems in places like Sudan. We've been in Sudan for over 35 years. And it's a very difficult place to work. But we're there. So, Bill, the world is a mess, no question about it. But the only one who can put this back together is God himself. And I believe the only way that can happen is when we put our faith and trust in Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ came to save us. He didn't come to condemn us. We're celebrating Christmas. You have the Christmas tree lighting where the Palestinian advocates were speaking out. Okay, that's fine. But Jesus Christ came to save us, not to condemn us. And I want the world to know that Christmas is about God giving the first gift, his son, Jesus Christ. And he came for the purpose of taking our sins.
Yeah, I agree. I'll fight the secular war. Reverend, you don't have to do that. You just keep doing a good work you're doing all over the world. How can people get to Samaritan's Purse?
Well, go to our website, SamaritansPurse.org. We always need help. And you see behind me is that DC-8 airplane. We have 32 airplanes. This one is going to go to Liberty University this next week. And they're going to use that in their School of Aviation, not to fly it, but to work on it. But it's DC-8 and it's come to the end of its life. So it's going to spend the rest of its days parked at Lynchburg Airport.
All right, Reverend. You have a nice Christmas. Really appreciate it. If we can ever be of service, you let us know, okay?
Thank you.
Final thought. Christmas is in 3 weeks from today. First week, okay? This is what we got to do. You got to start this weekend. You got to go shopping. BillO'Reilly.com. You don't have to leave your house, okay? But you got to kind of line it up. So you got a paper, you write down a person's name, and you write down what you think they would like. And you go and you get it. Do it now so they don't run out. It's trying to get a jacket for somebody and they're already out. So you got to move it. The second one is cards and greetings. Now, a lot of people do the texting and the email now. I don't know. I like to send a card. You got to get those out next week. And the third is social schedule. Who you want to visit, who's visiting you, You got to write it down, put it on that calendar. All of that this weekend. Big weekend if you want your Christmas to be calm and bright. Okay? Thank you very much for watching and listening to The No Spin from DC. We'll have a brand new Sunday column, and we'll see you again on Monday. Another uproar from the White House every day. Every single day. This one, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles gave an interview to Vanity Fair magazine. In the interview, and they edited it, of course, all magazines do that, she says some controversial stuff. And now all hell is breaking loose in the press. Susie Wiles said this, Susie Wiles said that, blah, 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 blah. Okay. My first question is why? Why Miss Wiles? And you know, you have one of the most important jobs in the country. Why would you talk to Vanity Fair magazine? What do you hope to gain by that? This is a left-wing, Hollywood-based hate Trump publication. That's what it is. Why are you giving them your valuable time? And you know they're going to edit the piece in a way that makes you and your boss look bad. It's 100%. I can't figure this out. I really cannot figure it out. And I've asked the president a number of times, because he does it too, why do you talk to Bob Woodward when you know Bob Woodward has accepted millions of dollars to write a book that is disparaging you? Why talk to him? And the president answers, well, I want to persuade him. I want to see a point of view. He doesn't care. They don't care. Now, I'm not accusing Vanity Fair of making anything up. They're smarter than that. But as Ms. Wiles stated, they're not going to provide context for her remarks. So I'll give you an example. In the piece, it says that Ms. Wiles believes that President Trump has an alcoholic personality. Whoa! Whoa, that's a headline. President Trump is an alcoholic personality. Well, Susie Wiles' father was Pat Summerall, a football guy, you may remember. He was an alcoholic. And her point was that alcoholics are risk takers and often do not consider the downside of what they're doing, which is true. That's an alcoholic personality. Now, Donald Trump doesn't drink or take drugs and never has, because his older brother, as I chronicle in the United States of Trump, my book on the president, died from alcoholism very young. He was an airline pilot. Trump saw that. He was close to his brother. He never touched this stuff. But the personality Ms. Wiles is trying to describe to Vanity Fair, but that's not what Vanity Fair puts out. They put it out as a pejorative. He's drunk all the time. Come on. And then it goes on and on and on and on and on. All right? So this dominates, and you'll see it if you bother watching the cable news tonight, or even it's got to get into the nightly news too. They got to do it. And it'll all be negative toward Trump. Oh, Susie, oh. But what did you people expect to happen? All right. Talking Points memo is another situation almost along the same lines, but this is not the White House's fault. Okay? All right. So if you are in the social media, on the internet, looking for news coverage, you get this headline from CNN and other left-wing organizations. Unemployment rate hits a 4-year high last month, November. Okay, that's CNN. New York Times, U.S. unemployment rose in November, a warning sign for the economy. MS. Unemployment rate reaches a 4-year high as Trump's economic woes continue. USA Today. U.S. added 64,000 jobs in November as unemployment hits a 4-time high. Now, most people are just going to read those headlines. They're not reading the article about economics, okay? Not doing it. Oh, the economy's terrible. Economy's terrible. Economy's terrible. Okay, so let's analyze what actually happened yesterday. So the November unemployment rate is stated 4.6%, up from 4.4 in September. There was no report in October because of the government shutdown. Okay, so it is up 0.2%. It's not anything significant. But here's what the articles will not tell you. On the last day of September, continuing into October and November, hundreds of thousands of federal employees were furloughed. Hundreds of thousands let go because of DOGE and the Trump administration cutting back the federal payroll. That's where all of the jobs were lost. Is that going to be in the article? No. The other thing is that analysts were expecting 40,000 jobs to be created in November, and the number came in at 64,000. Higher, significantly higher. Not going to see it. Okay? So, again, this is all by design. that we're going to take stuff out of context, throw it out there, and the left-wing media is 80% of the media, probably more, all right, and then hope that the American people rebel against Donald Trump because the economy, they think the economy's bad. Economy isn't bad. Might get that way, but it's not bad now. All right. So added to this are the distractions like Vanity Fair and Susie Wiles. And the biggest distraction came this week when Rob Reiner and his wife were murdered allegedly by their son. Horrible. I mean, there's no other word for it. Doesn't get worse than that. Rob Reiner was a militant who hated Donald Trump, despised him, and a very involved person in the progressive movement. But that doesn't mean you're happy when he dies, because it's just like Charlie Kirk. Remember the people who were happy when he died. So the president comes out and says, I think it's because Rob Reiner was a far-left politician who hated me, and that led to his death. That's a stretch. But even if that's what the president thinks, it's the wrong time to say it. Again, referencing Charlie Kirk. You know, there are millions of people who didn't like Charlie Kirk, but you don't say it when he's assassinated. Now, the exchange caught my attention on News Nation last night between Chris Cuomo and a caller. And the caller desperately wanted Cuomo to ram these comments down Trump's throat. Okay? But Cuomo didn't do it on his show. He mentioned it, but he wasn't virtue signaling like all the other liberal commentators were. He didn't do that. Roll the tape.
We all know to be better than that.
I'd like to hear you say.
But why? Why do you need it? Why do you need it? Why do you need it like it's a dog treat? Why do you need it like it's Chris is okay. He gets that Trump is a monster. Look, the guy's not a monster, okay? He plays the system.
All right. So, virtually every single broadcaster ran with that Trump's horrible. But Cuomo didn't, because Cuomo understands the bigger picture. Okay? And he's not justifying Trump's statement. Okay? I'm not doing that. He's just saying, look, this is where we are politically now. It's hatred. That's where we are. There's no détente in America. There's no trying to understand the other side or trying to work out a compromise. It's hatred. Now, you can blame whoever you want to blame. But I'm not going to be a part of it. And Cuomo, to his credit, doesn't seem to be either. That's what happened. Okay, so now every single day, it's this crazy kind of stuff. And it is affecting President Trump's legacy. Now, he will speak to the nation tomorrow night, Wednesday night. And on Thursday, we'll have a full, fair, and smart analysis of the president's speech. It's an important speech for the president. Okay? It is. Because his legacy has to survive next year. He can't lose the House or the Senate because he won't get anything done the rest of the way. So this is a legacy thing now. Final point in the memo. The White House desperately needs a rapid response team to correct the press when it lies, like it did about the unemployment numbers. Okay, lie by omission. They had to have somebody in addition. Caroline Leavitt can't do it. She's got the day-to-day. But a rapid response team comes out, boom, boom, boom. This is what they're like that. Desperately need that. Okay? And I hope the president, who does follow this broadcast, gets it up and running. And that's a memo. Wikipedia. I use it. All right? I use it consistently for information. But here's a very interesting study by the Media Research Center, conservative group, but accurate group. We've been using them for years here, and I've never had to retract anything they printed. So, media research says that Wikipedia cites left-wing outlets 20 times more than right-wings when delivering information. Okay, here's the conclusion. MRC researchers searched all languages of Wikipedia November 18th and 19th this year to determine how many times the editors cited each of the right, center, lean left sources that appear on the publicly available all-size media bias chart. Overwhelmingly, it's left-wing. New York Times cited more than 1 million times. Highest for the conservative movement, Fox News, 126,000 times. There are the numbers. So you can see that it's just way out of line. So when people who don't know that Wikipedia is doing this go to Wikipedia, they're getting left-wing information most of the time. Joining us now from Herndon, Virginia, is Tim Graham, the executive editor of Newsbusters and a member of the Media Research Center. Why is this important? I mean, I know I use Wikipedia just to look stuff up. I'm not looking for their political analysis. Do you think a lot of people are doing that?
Yes, because obviously when you do a Google search, what's the first result you're generally going to get? Google gives you Wikipedia. It's just the algorithm's right there. So almost whatever you put in somebody's name, you put in a political event, the first link you're probably going to get is to Wikipedia. So that's really important. And then it says, which sources do they use? And yes, overwhelmingly, they're going to use these liberal media sources. You know, when we were kids and we were reading the World Book, it didn't have a bunch of footnotes necessarily, but it was pretty straightforward and cut and dried. I think when you look at Wikipedia articles, like the Wikipedia article on the Media Research Center, it's going to have a bunch of liberal things in it. That they're, controversies,
Right.
Obviously, I did something earlier this year where I looked at the news networks, Fox and MSNBC and CNN, and they went to Fox News having a defamation suit right up top. CNN settled a defamation suit. That's like in paragraph 56. I mean, so these are the sorts of things they overwhelmingly favor. Yeah, the New York Times, AP, the Washington Post, and then the conservative sites are way, way down there. So yeah the New York Times is like 1.6 million, and the New York Post is like 41,000. That's like 41 to 1. So that's what you get.
Do you think that Wikipedia editors or owners are doing it on purpose?
Yes. Remember, it used to be in the early days where like any schmo who got registered, you'd be a registered user and you could get in there and try to put sentences or paragraphs in there and see if they'd be accepted. It's a much more top-down enterprise now. And, when we get in there and we search it, yeah, it's obviously intentional. And it is really the same thing we find when our team's been studying Google News, Apple News. When you go into these aggregators, you're going to overwhelmingly get the so-called trusted sources, the New York Times, CNN, NPR. That's what they're going to give you on any breaking news story. And Wikipedia is just sort of doing the same.
So people don't know this. They go in, they read this stuff, they believe it. A lot of them, they're not skeptical. And then this helps the progressives and the Democratic Party. And that's the game. The fix is in, right?
Yeah, and if I was a high school teacher, I would say I don't want any Wikipedia citations, no footnotes from Wikipedia. But I mean, you could just as well cite the footnotes that Wikipedia actually uses and says, I'm good. I cited the New York Times, but it's, this is one of those first places that people go. And yeah, you're right. If you're just searching for something like who won Super Bowl 41, you're going to get straight up facts. But on any contentious political actor or political issue, you're going to get a lot of spin.
Right. Or personalities. They'll pump up progressive personalities and pump down conservatives. Now, sometimes AI comes up, for a summation of a subject. Is that accurate?
No, because again, a lot of these AI bots, and now we're comparing Elon Musk Grok, maybe to some of these others, the Chat GPTs, the Google Geminis. But what are they using for their sources? I mean, when you do a Google search, you'll get that too. It's going to be, we just looked at the New York Times and these sorts of trustworthy outlets to put together our AI answer to you. So it's the same problem all over the place.
Okay. Is there any solution to the problem, Tim?
Well, I mean, again, sometimes maybe we'll try to see if Grokipedia is better than Wikipedia or Grok AI is better than the other ones. We always just say, there's a lot of conservative media out there now that you can get your information from. And of course, the liberals will all say, you can't trust any of that. But you certainly can. And when we do the numbers on these things, we demonstrate it. It's factual. You might not like the numbers, but the numbers are the numbers.
Okay, but an outlet like Newsmax or Fox News, they do ignore stories on occasion that are unflattering to the right or President Trump, correct?
I imagine that's true, yes. And the reverse is true, right? So the CBS and ABC and NBC don't want to do the negative stories on Democrats. I would say this, you were talking about Trump's statement on Rob Reiner. Fox was on that and they did not like it.
Well, they were on it, but they didn't contextualize it. They virtue signaled it, didn't they? Well,
it's easy to virtue signal, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but look, that's not reporting.
Who thinks that was a good idea?
That's not reporting. All right.
Yeah.
The reason that Donald Trump made the statement is that he is so angry. It's us against them. It's me and my White House against all those media people, all of them. Okay, and whatever I have to do to bring them down, I'm going to bring. Now that's the context of the remark. Doesn't justify the remark. But that context completely lost on why this is happening. It's what I do. It's why I'm successful. But I saw some of the conservative coverage. It wasn't just Fox either. It was a bunch of conservative outlets all across the spectrum. Virtue signaling. That's all it was. It wasn't anything like, well, why did the guy do this? Why does he continue to do it? Explain it so that people even know about it. That's not justifying. Last word.
I think it's interesting that at least in the coverage I've seen of this horrible death of Rob Reiner, they really aren't focusing on, they'll say he was a Democratic donor, but they're certainly not going to say he's controversial the way that Charlie Kirk was portrayed as controversial. Right. Rob Reiner was too.
Way more. What Rob Reiner did in his life with the People for the American Way and all that, but I'm not going to go in on Reiner. I'm not. He's a private citizen. He can do whatever he wants to do. He was murdered, and that was horrible, as I said. And I'm going to leave it alone for now. But if you know how extreme Reiner was, but that, again, does not justify what happened. Tim, thanks very much. We appreciate it. Good work, Tim. I got to tell you, we follow you now all the time because the stuff is real. Thought of the day. So a week from tonight is our last show for the year. And we are doing the whole show. I'll do a little headlines up top, but 99% of the show will be you writing to me, emailing me. We will answer any questions you want. We will give you more information if you want. We will read praise and dissent. If you'd like to see this show improve, the No Spin News, we'll read them. It'll be lots of fun. So all you, year-ender, how are we doing? What would you like to see in 26? All of that. We have a special address, BillO'Reilly.com/live. All right? BillO'Reilly.com/live. We would like your participation here. It'll be fun. Okay? So that is a week from this evening. Now, I know a lot of people are very busy. Every time I call up my friends and say, hey, what do you do? Oh, rapping. I don't know how long it... See, I got people doing all this for me. So I do. I mean, I have people that rap and people that pick out stuff for me, and I admit it. I'm so busy. I had to go in the city last night in Manhattan to this media party, Dan Abrams, and he's got a good restaurant, Abrams, just opened Danny's. It's an old-time saloon kind of place where press people hang out. And if you're in Manhattan or you're down there, 22nd Street, I believe it is, stop in. Tell him O'Reilly sent you. But anyway, Abrams is a good guy. I like him. And he put a media party on. And I was invited. And Abrams only does this to annoy other people at the party. I know what he's doing. But I go because I had to do News Nation, and I had to go into their studio on 42nd Street. So I just twinned it. And I had an interesting conversation with Joe Scarborough. And he was a gentleman, respectful. The wife was no part of me. But Scarborough was, I hadn't talked to him in a while. And we kind of pioneers in cable news. And I saw a lot of other people. Everybody was respectful, but most are afraid of me. I understand. I'm not exactly, a warm and fuzzy guest. But anyway, everybody's busy. I'm busy. But we'll get it all done. And we'll be back here tomorrow. Thank you for watching tonight. I'm Bill O'Reilly. We'll see you on Wednesday.